Ladies don't sit like that. Boys can't wear that. That's for girls. Ladies shouldn't speak unless spoken to. All these common phrases are things you all may have heard growing up. But have you ever considered to what extent these gender stereotypes affected your life? Today we will be examining 3 aspects of gender and stereotype in society and how these stereotypes can harm us. First, we will be giving you some insight onto my personal experiences with gender stereotypes. Second, we will look at some of the main gender stereotypes in our society and how they harm us. And third and finally, we will talk about what you can do to end these gender stereotypes. Now, before we get started, we have to understand exactly what gender is. So first, Wikipedia defines gender as the differentiating wide range of characteristics between masculinity and femininity. Oftentimes, people will use the term gender and sex interchangeably. This, however, is not the case. The genderspectrum.org walks us through in their article on understanding gender the 3 aspects that go into making up a person's gender. First, obviously, being their body, their biological sex, and then their gender identity, and then their gender expression. All 3 of these aspects of gender go into one identifying as either male or female or neither. So we generally assume that someone with male genitalia will identify as a man. However, this is not the case. Now that we have a better understanding of what exactly gender is, I would like to say that some people out there might point out that gender roles are supposed to create social structure in our society. This, however, is not the case. Oftentimes, these gender stereotypes can cause more harm than good in our society, which we will examine later on in this speech. Now, first off, I would like to give some personal insight into some examples of gender stereotypes I have faced throughout my life. Like many other boys, I grew up hearing that I couldn't do this and that because I was a boy. I was so confused as a child as to why boys couldn't do the things that girls did and why girls couldn't do the things boys did. I remember a distinct time in elementary school where a kids and company employee sat me out in timeout because I had refused to play with the trucks and the boys and wanted to play house with the girls. As a child, this was very confusing to me because it wasn't like I hated the boys. I just thought the girls were nicer and I thought playing house sounded more fun that day. That is very damaging to a child because it's confusing and they don't understand what's wrong. Examples like this followed me throughout my entire life. A recent example of this came up about 2 years ago when I started wearing makeup. I remember getting the dirtiest looks from my peers and hearing the most cruel, awful things said behind my back. I was devastated. Here at a dark time in my life, I was trying to find some joy in my new interest, and I was being told these cruel, demeaning things. Throughout my life, I have heard things like this, and that has been very damaging. I felt very distant from everyone. I felt like a freak and like an outcast. Now, many people say that the way that these people reacted was justified because that's what you expect, right? This, however, I don't agree with this statement because as an individual, I like to live how I like to live. So, as being said, these cruel, demeaning things can be very damaging to my mental health and self-esteem. Now we will look at some of the common gender stereotypes in our society. The Planned Parenthood, in their article on gender and identity roles and femininity, talks about 3 of the gender stereotypes that both sexes face. Because of our biological sex, we are expected to adhere to a set of personality traits that deem women to be calm, accommodating, and emotional, while men have to be strong, confident, and aggressive. When these gender stereotypes are forced onto us, they can go to the extremes of causing others physical pain and isolation from ourselves. In the same article, Planned Parenthood reveals to us that hypermasculine men are more likely to be emotionally and physically abusive to their partners, while hyperfeminine women are more likely to endure physical and emotional abuse without speaking up for themselves. Pushing someone to fit under these gender stereotypes can go as far as causing others physical harm, causing mental illness, and causing isolation from loved ones. Do you see the problem now? The lack of self-expression can cause many people pain. We are too focused on telling boys not to cry and telling girls not to be too confident that we don't understand the emotional trauma we are causing people by limiting their self-expression. Now we get to the so what. So what can you do to fight these gender stereotypes? What can you as an individual really do to society as one person? Well, you're looking at it. Every day, I embody multiple characteristics of both the male and female genders. I enjoy makeup and fashion and purses, but also lizards and bugs and dirt and being outside. Both of these characteristics are a combination of both genders, and that helps me live every day as my own truth. So what can you do as an individual? UNWomen.org tells us some of the few examples of things we can do to fight these stereotypes every day. First off, if you see or hear someone making sexist comments, call them out. Tell them what they're doing is wrong and explain to them the ways that they are hurting individuals. Next, girls, speak up for yourself. Be confident. Don't let anybody tell you not to speak unless spoken to. Don't let anybody tell you no one likes a girl who's too confident. Be confident. Be harsh. Be however you want to be. And boys, express yourself and your emotions. Too often are boys told that they can't cry or that they can't be emotional. Crying is a natural part of being a human, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And the most important thing you can do when challenging gender stereotypes is challenge what you are told by your parents, by the media, and by your peers. Live every day as your own truth. Now that we have examined some of my personal experiences with gender stereotypes and some of the stereotypes in our society and the ways that we can fight them, I hope that you all have a better understanding of why gender stereotypes are harmful to our society. I hope from now on you choose to live within your own will and without worry what society tells you. You might just find it surprising how liberating living without the fear of gender stereotypes can be. Go forward and live your own truth. Thank you.